the projects that are coming out. I could not be more proud to. I could not be more excited to hear from all the projects that are coming out from this from the program. And yeah, at Unified we are advisors, and we were advisors for the Blockchain Center more recently, and we are activating that in a growing industry, and we are also organizing Miami Blockchain Week, where you guys are all super welcome to join us anywhere in Florida and in the world. So I'm glad to be here.
Amazing. Thank you guys both for coming and giving your insights into the tech industry. I actually shared your event to our whole community this week when you sent it to me. So I imagine they already seen it. Okay, so we're going to start with a couple of questions.
Oh, please, everybody's super welcome.
Yeah, we're going to start with a couple of questions. How do you guys get involved with the tech industry? Jorge or Jay?
So that's kind of my bread and butter. I mean, we've been trying to build the tech community and tech industry here in South Florida for, almost 6 years. The simple thing is to, get on your computer and start looking for your communities, right? The Lab Miami is a perfect example of one too, where that they have a co-working space that is a community, but it extends far beyond that, right? It's just not a physical space. It's all the people that have ever come in contact with it. On a more, macro level, there are organizations like ours or Refresh Miami where, we have Slack channels, we have email blasts, we have different ways we're pointing people in directions to say, hey, if you're looking for a JavaScript meetup, here it is. If you're looking for, a Slack channel to have on your desktop, there it is. If you're looking to see where the events are, that's where it is. So we're trying to be almost that fabric of sorts so you can go to, so you can find those different opportunities. And it is simple enough as going to an event and, meeting people. And, I've always been one of those guys who's been like, why not? Like, why not send that email? Why not try and reach out to those type of people? And the really neat thing that I love about the tech community is everybody has always got an open door. If you need to learn something, if you want to share an idea, that's the cool thing I think about technology and really just innovation and entrepreneurship in the 21st century. You have people with good hearts around you that want to help and want to be a part of it. So if you take the time, go see all that, the websites like palmbeachtech.org, Refresh Miami, join a co-working space like Lab Miami, you're going to find that and you're going to be right at home.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Jorge, what do you think?
Well, I got involved in technology, or more specifically in Miami in the year 2010, around the first startups that were opening here in Wynwood. And when I got to the lab, along with the founders of the Lab Miami, we created Momentum International in order to start creating the opportunities like I said, retaining the local talent, because we have an amazing network of universities, not only in South Florida, but also North Florida, Central Florida. These are universities, high top level professors, and we don't want them to leave Florida. We want them to stay and to build here. And that was the spirit that definitely got me into coding at the time and organizing the events and help out the local startups here in around 2012. We wanted to expand, and we went on to create a total of 4 other concepts of co-working spaces around here in the downtown and Wynwood area. But like Joe signaled, it is really the culture and the culture of collaboration among the tech industry that it's engaging, and of course is fun to learn. And I think that's one of the things that the Lab Miami shares, the spirit of the campus, the college campus experience extended into a more adult life, especially around here in the district of Wynwood. So It's a transfer of knowledge, a constant transfer of knowledge, especially with so many technologies impacting the community. And this is what got me excited at that time into tech.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. So I just want to touch quickly about what you think will happen to the tech industry in 2021. I know 2020 was a whirlwind and we have no idea what can we expect during this year. Do you think we're gonna evolve in some other ways? Is it gonna change since we are mostly working remotely? What do you guys think?
You want to take that first, Jorge, and then
Yeah, sure. I can definitely talk about. I envision a lot, and I kind of like raise. I can raise some interesting point out some interesting things that are coming out on the blockchain and XR technologies locally. We never had so much potential, but also so much momentum here of people coming in from the crypto community. So many professionals the cybersecurity fields, and of course on the innovation more into the fintech space, solutions for payments processing, especially for the connectivity and influence into Latin America. That's growing. That's the all the DeFi projects, decentralized finances. These are super interesting angles that are growing, and they need and rely they rely on other experiences and other technologies in order to connect. And of course, Miami is the place to connect for that. On the legal framework, perhaps through the use of smart contracts, for attorneys, for the government sector, and of course, like I mentioned, the fintech industry is growing, and I think that just COVID just accelerated that process. And so I think that Florida has never been in the best position for growing these industries.
yeah, and I think that right now in South Florida, there's a momentum that, frankly, I think is a little, geared towards messaging, right? Like there's a momentum in South Florida right now that it has caught on, but it's nothing crazy new. People have been moving to South Florida for years, and there's been a lot of tech momentum. I think, for a while, that fire has been like burning, and it's finally caught a little bit of wind to really start getting upward. And I think that's, thanks to the work of so many people for so long. As far as what we're going to expect, I think we got to really harness that momentum to make some really long-term, impactful, and infrastructural change, right? And what that means is, you can't have, a really great tech industry or tech community without some big pieces. Like Emerge Americas is a big piece, right? And when that gets going again, like that's going to start sharing the story of Miami to a lot wider audience, my hope. But then you're also looking at large companies that also become investors, right? I mean, in some respects, Miami wouldn't be where it is today without the Knight Foundation. Knight Foundation wouldn't be around where it is without Miami Herald. Miami Herald wouldn't be around for, so you can track back these little historical points along all these different things. But right now, is here we are in 2021. We have a lot of momentum we can capture. And my expectation is we're going to capture some of that, like lightning in a bottle. But I think it's going to really take some work to say, hey, how can we get government on board? And how can they add to this? How are we going to get private industry? How are we going to get all these venture capitalists on board? And that to me is that the oddity of the question is expectation is I expect a lot, but I also expect us to, have big dreams always. And those big dreams have to be realized through hard work. And, by putting aside egos, breaking down silos, coming together, collaborating, and all these different things, it's going to be a really special year in 2021. That's the simplest thing I can say.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of articles about how Miami is going to become the next big tech hub. And from what I'm seeing with you guys and also on LinkedIn, and I think that's what's going to happen, especially with the your association, Joe, and also with the Miami Beacon Council. That's what they're aiming for, that I think.
Yeah, and I know your next question is about like, Tech Hub. I mean, our work has been, spanning almost 6 years now. The thing that everybody needs to realize about South Florida is it's not just a city, it's not just a county, it's an entire region. South Florida happens to be made up of 3 counties. And in those 3 counties, according to the Computer Technology Industry Association, we have just over 150,000 tech professionals in that area. You could say Miami is the hot spot, and it is. It's got the most people in it, but you're not building that without all of the Fortune 500s, which are actually more north. You're not building that without the venture capitalists, which are dispersed pretty evenly. I'm here in West Palm Beach. A stone's throw away, you have one of the wealthiest zip codes in the entire country, and there's some VCs out there. But you need to get this entire region activated, right? So, I talked to the vice mayor of Broward County, and then the mayor of Boca's a friend, and like all these guys like met, and they see Miami as like one little area amongst it all. So I think what you're going to see is if we look at the region, all of the data and the numbers, all the quantitative will point to South Florida as a tech hub. If you look at it from a qualitative point, all of that messaging, all of that news, Miami is a tech hub, right? Because Miami is the term, the name that people most associate with South Florida. It's just more recognizable. So I think you're going to be seeing a little bit of both. Honestly, where you're going to see people who make a quantitative approach to look at the South Florida metropolitan statistical area. I know I'm using big words. I know it's Friday night. I apologize. But, once you look at all of these, you can see a story. But I think through the work like Refresh Miami has done, through some of their content, you're also seeing like people sharing those stories about South Florida in a Miami-centric way, because that is where a lot of the activity is happening right now. So I think South Florida has been thriving as a tech hub for a while. I think we're going to be able to really put a fire to the belly of cities like Austin, for example, moving forward. But I'm looking forward to it, as I said earlier. But I think the story is much broader than just Miami.
Yeah, 100%. I think they say Miami because they, as you said, South Florida, the first thing that comes to mind is Miami, and they tend to forget about Broward County, Boca, West Palm Beach. I think that's why they say also Miami.
And one additional thing there is, so my background's a little bit in government. I actually worked at a think tank for economic policy. So if I ever sound like I'm droning on about data too much, why? But the interesting facet is South Florida is made up of 3 counties that all have enough people and resources to really kind of compete with each other, as opposed to like Atlanta, right? Atlanta's the big city, and then there's everything kind of aside from that. The 3 counties have 3 distinctive governments, economic development systems, and they all operate in a triangle form, right? That here's the top, here's the government, and here's everything out. The tech industry doesn't think that way. We don't care if we hire somebody from Broward or Miami as long as they do the work. We don't care if we raise money from wherever. So these artificial boundaries that we've created as society to help guide our society forward actually kind of get in the way of progress sometimes. And I think that in the modern era, where you see this regionalism approach to building a tech industry, aside from some of these things, some of those things that were placed as infrastructure to help build also can get in the way of that building sometimes. But anyway, I'm on a little bit of a soapbox, so I apologize, and I'll step off of it.
No worries, no worries. Since we are doing a graduation and this is their pitch project, I wanted to know which advice would you give someone who started the job hunting process?
Yeah, I think that there has never been again an opportunity to to do to reskill and learn new skills in the workforce. So if most of you or most of the time in a program like this, like the 4 Geeks program, people have other experiences previously in other industries, and this is extraordinary complementary for if you know how to position yourself as a professional with certain expertise, but also an added value with the new coding skills, right? That you have learned. So I think that I think it's my tip will be to not feel like you're a newbie to technology, and to feel like you are, just new to the tech industry, and just empower yourself with your previous experience and project that into a certain interview, and just be confident because it's the whole world needs to go through this process, and we need more professionals in these fields, and we need more professionals with other different talents than just the coding or the creativity at coding, in order to complement and to give more ideas, and excel, and advance the technologies, not only at the grassroots levels if you want to create your own startup company, but also into enterprise. They are looking for people who is entrepreneurial, who has a background in different skill sets, and this is just, don't feel newbie to the tech industry, but actually get empowered by your previous experience as well, and project that into any persona interviewing it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jorge. What do you think, Joe?
Can you restate the question? I was actually just grabbing my computer.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I saw that you left.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to the people that are graduating today, that they are now embarking the job hunting process?
I think if anybody is in your program, you're obviously, you guys are stepping into the tech industry with good footing, right? And you put yourself there. The tech community here is, if you're going to thrive in it, it's going to be very much so from your own personal drive, right? And that means, getting out there and being a part of the community. I honestly think that if you take your professional career goals and match that with some goals in the community, to be a part of it, to give a talk, to go to some events, to participate on the Slack channel, I think you're going to find your career is going to go in a positive direction because you're getting engaged and involved. And depending on the company too, if you're working in a rather large company, they have also really good community feels as well. So I think that, if anything, get involved in the community. It'll pay dividends in the long run for sure.
Thank you so much. That's great advice. I know everyone has heard a lot about the pandemic and how it has changed everything. But I wanted to know your perspective on how do you think the pandemic has changed the tech industry, and how it works?
I didn't hear that last sentence. Anna? I think she froze.
So
go ahead, Jorge.
I think I heard what do you think of the results or the post pandemia in terms of the tech industry? Well, I see a lot of advantages. Of course, there's no questioning on how we are grateful to be healthy, right? And to reflect on so many families around the world going through difficult times. But for the tech industry, it was totally an advantage, a huge advantage, when so many of these processes have gone remote, and it actually accelerated so many solutions, not only on the remote processes, system payments, shopping online, but also even exactly what we're doing, e-learning, education, remote education, and especially for Florida and for us here in South Florida. My invitation is, of course, invite you guys to stay and take advantage of all these companies that they are saying in the heart of perhaps San Francisco or New York, we're going full remote and we don't care if you are, working for us in the lovely paradise of the Miami Beach. So that's kind of like a huge advantage after the big peak of the pandemic. I think it's the opportunity for people to relocate to Miami and to find the jobs because they're all remote anyways.
Yeah, and on that too, I think what you're seeing right now in that momentum that is being pushed to South Florida, and if you guys have followed the news, there's been a lot of more of a corporate push towards Texas. Um, and this is because these companies that, let's say, built an infrastructure in California and Silicon Valley, which I hate the Silicon Valley cliches I hear all the time, but there's a reason that all happened. It's the physical proximity of companies and people, right? That if you're a VC, you can like go down the street and see your companies. If you are a technology professional, you can go between these different companies, but they all wanted you there physically, right? What COVID-19 did is say, sorry, you can't even be here at all, right? So all of a sudden, all these companies that valued in-person a presence of their teams said, we can't do this anymore, and we're going to allow people to work wherever. So all of a sudden, this dynamic to say we have to be in California because the VCs, because of the talent, because of this and all that and the other things, got thrown out the window. I mean, I live in West Palm Beach, and I met somebody at the coffee shop here because if you haven't guessed, I can talk a lot. So they overheard me talking, and they run one of the Amazon startup programs and had moved to West Palm just because. And we got to chatting actually a lot, which was pretty neat. And she was one of those people who became part of this movement to say, hey, I don't need to be in California anymore. Talked to her husband, figured out where do they want to go, and they decided to come to Florida because of that. And what do we have in Florida that nobody else has? Well, the lifestyle, right? Also, no personal income taxes, which is also very good, and people look at that. But it's a great place to live, and you're seeing COVID-19 change the impact not only of how companies run, but how people choose to operate in their professional lives, and that has, I think, directly led to at least some level of the momentum here in South Florida.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna give you guys one more question so that then we can start the pitch from every student. So if you can give, what should an advice or a recommendation, what should a candidate do to stand out in the tech field?
Uh, I, so I
This
have
is a hard one.
so I have a couple things. A resume is as cliche as it is important. You have to be original on your resume. There was a person who I would call a friend and now a colleague who was, I think, in a junior year in college at the time. And she reached out to me, say, hey, this recruiter wanted me to send them their resume to this company. And I did it, but I wanted to tell you. And I'm like, you should have just told me first, right? I could have helped you out. But I looked at the resume and I'm like, you did this in like 5 minutes, right? And she was like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll work on it together. We'll send it in otherwise. So she worked on it and it looked good. She spent time looking at the UX of her resume, the UI of the resume, right? It's like, how are people going to read through it? How are people going to look at it? And that's something I don't think a lot of people do because, you can translate how good a resume looks to how much effort and dedication people are going to put into the job, in my opinion. And one of the things that I've noticed too that I suggested to her was put a little personal side of things in it. And it turned out that she put in like a little personal statement where it was she likes to spend time with her fiance, her two chickens, and her son, a pet, an Australian Shepherd. And somewhere along the lines, they misunderstood and said, "Hey, this her son is actually a dog. It's not like she has a son. Like human son, and that like provided like a lot of levity in the conversation, just to like have some little rapport with the interviewers to say, oh, this is like a little bit about me. So I know some people can kind of go back and forth on the personal statements and resumes and whatnot, but I do really think that taking the time to do your resume right professionally, looking at the visuals of it really helps. But I think Marcelo put in there, it's like everything. You know, you got to do a little bit of everything to stand out.
Jorge, what do you think?
I love the question because it's very hard. It's kind of similar to a previous question, but it's not. It's totally different. And I think that uh, to stand out, I think never stop learning, never stop inquiring into the languages that you want to continue learning to complement your professional profile. Keep on learning on new emerging industries, emerging technologies and trends, because I think you just have a more than a basic understanding of coding, but serious work. And there's always new things that you're gonna like more, and just keep on learning in order to complement that your previous experience and skills. And just like Joe said, participate on the community, get on the newsletters for top leaders locally. I don't, it's not that I don't recommend the famous ones globally, but I think there's pretty good thought leaders here locally that you can follow or subscribe to the newsletter to be on top of what's going on in the industry here locally and where the opportunities are. There's plenty of job opportunities right now, but keep on learning new languages or new skills is never enough. And even uh, if the program was very hard for you, I think you're always going to have languages that are more closer to your heart, that are easy for you to continue learning, and never stop trying to learn new skills.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for coming tonight and giving us a little insight into the tech industry. We appreciate it. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And now we give the floor to our graduates. First, we're going to start with Ernesto Milanes. Ernesto, if you want, you can put your camera on and share your screen.
Hello guys, how you guys doing?
Good, good.
I'm gonna be Can you guys see? Can you guys see?
Not yet.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No, you're not sharing your screen.
What about now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay guys, so the name of my application called FitRef is basically a fitness app for people can check out like nutrition labels using an API. Basically they search up the name of a food and you get the nutrition label for that food. I also have different type of calculators to check out your BMI and your BMR. I'll be talking more about that later. I should have started with this, but I'm 20 years old. I was born in Cuba, raised here in Miami. I was studying to be a nurse before hearing about 4Geeks, and I always had an interest in coding, so I checked them out, talked to Marcelo, and joined, and here I am.
I am that charming. I know.
Okay, so Basically, it was created for people to be informed of their physical health and have the tools to improve their physical health. That was the whole reason for me making this application. Um, I'll be showing you the application now. Okay. When you come in, I have a quote here and the different type of things that it does. When you click on any of them, it takes you sign up. I already created an account for everybody to see. Once you log in, it gives you the option to check out the different apps. The first one I'm going to be showing is the BMI, which is the body mass index. The person puts in their weight, their height, and it gives them the BMR. You can either do it in imperial or in metric. The second one is the BMR, which tells you how many calories your body burns at rest without having to work out or anything. This is what your body burns a day. And it's good to have an idea of this number because it tells you how many calories you can eat a day without gaining weight. Now, the second option here, which is how active you are, tells you based on your activity what you can eat to either lose, gain, or stay at the same weight. And then here is basically you want to search a certain food and you don't want to buy it. You want to see, okay, can I eat this? Tells you different types. You click the first one and it gives you the nutrition facts for that product. And this, when you click this little save button, it allows you to save that, and then you can check out what you have saved. And that's about it.
Great, Ernesto. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Do you have for Ernesto about his app or not? But this was a great app.
Thank you, thank you.
Now that Ernesto is done, I think we have Adolfo and Jahilin up next. If you guys wanna share your screen.
Good evening, everyone. I am sharing my screen. And this is not the screen I wanted to share. Hey. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. My name is Adolfo Espina. I am joined by my partner, Yailin Exmindición, and we developed an application called Easy Prospect. And Easy Prospect, essentially what it is, it's a financial prospect relationship manager, which currently is right now only serving Miami-Dade County, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to expand and grow into other counties, possibly states. But a little bit about myself. I graduated in 2009 from Florida International University with a bachelor's in business, with a double major in finance and marketing. I worked in banking for nearly 20 years, and primarily in the past 7 years in commercial sales, portfolio management, and commercial credit underwriting. Upon completion of the academy, I would like to, develop fintech applications that can solve operational issues and increase efficiency in the banking industry, because that's where I have most of my experience in. Eileen?
Yes, good evening. Hi, my name is Yailin Aizmendis. I graduated in Cuba in 2008 from IT, followed up with an additional 5 years of study as an industrial engineer from CUJAE. I have worked for 8 years as a commercial manager in an import-export company in Cuba, and I have lived in the United States for 3 years, working on various roles, such as accounting and data entry. I plan to start a career in tech by completing this 4-week full stack developer course, and of course to continue studying and learning as much as I can every day. Next.
Okay, so just to give you a little brief background on the application before we actually show it off, because there's going to be a lot of features that we want to highlight. The background of the application. So since when we were first asked, guys, what application do you want to build? And I was partnered up with Yailin. I asked her, hey, do you have an idea? And she said at the moment, no, I don't have anything, in mind. What do you have? And I said, great, because I'm someone that I've experienced a lot of inefficiencies working in banking industry. I've worked in several departments, and I see that a lot of things can be very manual and very repetitive. So I always had a passion. I always had this idea that I wanted to create applications and solve problems. And so I pitched this idea to her, and she, was definitely on board. She wanted to, partake in it. And so we came out with this idea called Easy Prospect. Now, the colors that I chose, I wanted to obviously choose some colors that represented banking or represented something, with business. So I went with a teal green, and I included, obviously currency symbols such as the dollar sign and the euro sign inside the logo. But the teal also represents, something that Miami is very proud of. We're proud of our sports, Dolphins, Marlins, and also the green represents the oceans, the beautiful oceans for Miami. This screen here shows a little bit that went into the application before we developed it. We use this online application called Miro, to develop the wireframe of the app, to pretty much design how one screen will move to the other screen when you click on a certain button. The second image will show, it will just kind of give you a little insight of the tables that we had to create to develop this application. This application was very intensive, was very challenging, but nonetheless, we were able to complete it, and sure enough, I'm hoping that it will impress you all. Yailin.
Okay, for Easy Prospect was created using HTML, CSS, JS, React Hooks, React Bootstrap for the front end, and Python, Flask, and SQL for the back end. We have 6 functional tables with over 130 columns of data and 16 financial calculation functions around.
All right, now to show off our application, Yailin's going to take over the screen.
Okay. I'm sharing. Okay. When we load the application, we have this main page where we can see our logo, our login button with the login, these 4 features of our application, and the sign-on. We show all the possible errors in the login and the sign-up form. That way the user can know how he is not being able to log in or to create an account. For example, if I try to create a new account with the same email. It's going to show me that the email is already in use. Okay, so let's create a new account from scratch. Okay, once we are in our account, we will have this main page with the sign up button and the setting buttons. When we click on the setting buttons, we have the user information and we can edit the phone number. It's the only thing we can edit. Here we have a message for the user with the date and time, and the search bar that was searched based on the names of the names of all the business in the Miami-Dade Gov database. We are fetching the business from their API. Okay, here the prospect already created, but the user will appear here. In this case, we don't have any prospect yet, so it's displaying this message. So let's create a new prospect. For example, let's search for the CVS. Okay, it's gonna show like the address, the owner name, the account number from the API, from the Miami-Dade Gov. So we're gonna create a prospect. It's gonna share all the information from the API, from the Miami-Dade, and the Google map with the location. We're gonna prospect, and it's gonna show the same information and the tabs with contacts, background, and financial. Okay, before we go through the tabs, let's go to the main page again. We do that by clicking on the logo. So now that we have a prospect created, we can see it in this page. If we want to create a new prospect, we search again here. If in the result of the search there is already a prospect saved by the user, it will be appear as already existing. For example, let's search again for CVS. See, appear with view details instead of create prospect. Let's go back to the created prospect. Okay. Each user can save the same prospect, but in our database, it will only be saved once using the many-to-many relation to work with. In the same way, the information that we save in each prospect, like contact, background, financial information, will be private for each user. Let's go to the Contact tab. Here, we can add as many contacts as we want. Let's create. Okay, let's create. It's showing here. We can edit it. Let me fix my name. Save it. We can delete it. Okay, so now Mapana Adolfo will continue with the following tabs. The background.
Alrighty. So one thing that I forgot to mention earlier was, why did we create this application? So since my background is in banking and I worked in sales, one of the challenging things that as a sales rep in banking we encountered was, how do we keep track of all our prospects, of people that we're reaching out to, and managing this information, contact numbers, background information, notes, even financial numbers, financial statements. And so I wanted to kind of like bring an application together where we're extracting information from a third-party resource. In this case, we're using an API that Miami-Dade offers, and we're pulling the basic information from the business, and then we're bringing it into the application. And then here is where, in this application, we're adding in additional information to help us keep track of this prospect. So if we ever want to sell them a product in the banking world, we can just easily go to this prospect, we can keep track of their information, and then in the end, I'll show you a really cool feature that we added at the end, closer to this presentation. But in this background tab is where we would be inputting the business background and the management ownership background. So now you're asking, why would we want this information? Well, every business has its own background. and every business, I mean, just based off reading Cardtronics, you wouldn't know what type of business they operate. Yeah, it says CVS, but if it was another type of business, they could be either a retailer, a manufacturer, they could be a wholesaler, distributor. And so here's where we would talk about the business. The second box is mainly focusing on the management ownership background. Next tab, please. Financial tab. Excellent. So in this screen, you'll see that there's no financial information. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a financial statement really quick. Okay. So we're going to start off with some basic information. Let's start off with the date 12/31/2018. And we're going to do an unqualified. Excellent. Just put 12/31/2018. Yeah, that's fine. Anyone? Great. Then we're going to do, let's say, cash for 500, accounts receivable 1250, raw materials 100. We're going to do work in process for 300, finished goods for 1100. Great. Land for 1500. Buildings 2250. Great. Let's do accumulated depreciation of 1225. We'll do, let's go down to short-term or ST, debt secured. Correct. 22.5, right. And then we're going to do retained earnings of 35.50. And then retained earnings, excellent. And then we're going to do total revenues of 25.25. Submit that, add it. Excellent. So now, as you see, we have a financial statement that was added to our financial information tab. And what's really cool is that we added a PDF button where now a PDF can be generated, a report based on the information that we just created. Excellent. You can exit out of that. But let's add two more financial statements because we want to show off another real cool feature that we added to this application. Let's just put in a date, 12/31/2019. Or any date, that's fine. Pick a, yeah, correct. And then just let's do total revenues of 34.75. Excellent. You can add that. Great. So what we also implemented was a chart, a line chart. And let's add another one really quickly. Pick any date. Excellent. And then let's do total revenues of 32.55. Excellent. Add that. And you'll see that the table changes based on the information that we input. Great. Alrighty. And that is our application. I'm going to take over the screen to finish our presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so the challenges that we encountered during this application were probably some of the same challenges that most people encounter, right? Number one is finding an API that provides us the information we needed. When we first started developing this application, we originally wanted to use sunbiz.org because sunbiz obviously is the place where everybody wants to go, usually goes to obtain financial information. But unfortunately, the state of Florida is currently behind the times, and they don't have an API offered. So Miami-Dade had one, luckily, that our good friend and mentor Paolo was able to find for us, and we were able to implement it in this application. Another challenge that we encountered was time. This application took up a lot of our time, and another challenge that we had to do was kind of prioritize our time with our free time, actually, because we all work full time, both Yanin and I. But we also have, things like other prior engagements that we had to attend that sometimes would lead into, would overlap with our classes. Let's see, before joining this academy, I had signed up for 2 upper level accounting classes that, whenever I wasn't doing coding, I had to, do accounting classes. But also another challenge that I thought was very, very important was our schedule synchronization. Since we are working as a team, sometimes we had to synchronize our schedules, and Yailin had to do something else, or I couldn't on a particular day, and so us being able to come together and hash out some ideas and discuss and work through some problems with the application. Those were some of the challenges that we encountered. What we plan to do in the future with this application is continue building the application, facilitate relationship building from the prospect to client, bank integration, or standalone app for financial reps, banking officers. We would like to continue adding more features, add more counties and states. Hopefully we can tap into the Palm Beach County, Broward County, source other forms of public records data that we can bring in that's going to be useful for the application, generate reports, not only just the financial statement, but also bring in the background history, the data that we're pulling from third-party resources, and integrate other functionalities that facilitate other banking roles. As Joe and Jorge mentioned earlier, Miami is a hub, is a technology, is a city that's growing in the technology area. And Forbes had an article once, Miami's rising as a tech hub with some pricing help. Also, Miami was labeled by Time Magazine as the capital of Latin America. There's a lot of foreign investments that are coming in. There's also a lot of banks, foreign banks also as well in Miami that we would like to eventually tap into and see if we can sell this app to those banks and to those banking officers. And that's pretty much it. We would like to really thank our JD, our teacher, and amazing assistant Lacey for helping us through this process and for teaching us and sharing their knowledge with us. And we would also like to thank our mentors, all of them, especially Paolo and Ernesto, for helping us out with this application, and the entire 4Geeks Academy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. That was such a good project and amazing presentation. So proud of you guys because I know you did a lot of hard work for it, especially the last week. And now we have the final presentation. Last but not least, we have Paris with her project. If you want to take over.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Doing good? Okay, cool. All right, let me get it to share. Okay, so the app that I decided to create, or the application, is called Bartender. So basically you just get matched to a drink. So this is just a quick table of contents. So basically about me, I'll keep it pretty short. So I'm from Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm 24. I graduated actually from WVU in 2017 as well with sales. I know Adolfo had it too. So I did marketing and sales. I jumped into the industry for a little while. Obviously, I was a bartender, which is why the name of the app came to be. I've been bartending for about 7 years on and off through school, and then I kind of continued once I moved down here to Miami. But on the side, I also did ADP. So I was actually a sales associate. So I did do all of the cold calling. If you ever called ADP payroll, you might have talked to me at some point. But yeah, I basically went through and sold all of that. I chose coding. Obviously, it's completely different than a sales career, so it was definitely a completely different route, and that's exactly why I picked it. I wanted a complete change of pace. I wanted something totally different where I could have more control over my goals, my career. I'm not dependent on someone buying something from me to be able to make something happen. I love that with coding, it's really on me. Everything is on me to actually make it work, make it happen. Obviously, job security, we all know that the tech industry is growing. It's going to be around forever. And then obviously the room for growth to continue. I picked 4Geeks mainly because of all of the career support and the continued support after graduation. I know that a lot of times, obviously, I was in college. Once I graduated, they never spoke to me again. So any help I ever needed was never going to happen. I mean, you could call them, but they're probably not going to answer. So I wanted something where obviously technology is changing a lot. So I wanted someone who would kind of grow with me. And after talking to Marcelo, I mean, it was basically a no-brainer. He's obviously the best. So I had to go with this company. My experience has been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, with COVID, things were a little bit different. I ended up getting sick, and I actually did have to come back and do a second round. So I was really appreciative of them being able to stick it out with me and then basically run these last 6 months as quick as we did. And man, I can't believe how much I learned. So basically what Bartender is, the name came to be actually because of the app Tinder. I'm sure everybody kind of knows what it is. You know, you get matched to a date. Well, here you get matched to a drink. So one of my biggest, I guess, irritants as a bartender was when someone would come up to the bar and say, I don't know what I want, make something for me. There's a lot of issues with that, both for the bar and the bartender, because I have no idea what your taste buds are like. I don't know if you like bourbon or vodka. I mean, those two things are very different if you know anything about liquor. They're completely different. They taste completely different. If you like sweet versus sour, there's really a lot of things that can go wrong. Not only is the client going to have to, have a drink that they don't like, that they just waited for, if not paid for, they're also going to have to wait for their second one. On top of that, the bar is also losing money because they're just giving away alcohol at that point because you have to throw away the drink and then remake. So essentially this app I created to assist people in actually being able to find the drink that best suits them, or even if you're just looking for something different as well. So these are all the different technologies and the architecture that I use. So I use React, Python, MySQL, HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and then I also did some RESTful APIs. Now, I also put my outline and my database on here. I know they're a little small, but just like a quick run through, I basically have my users table over here and my favorites table, and they actually have a relationship, as you can see. So I use the relationship with the user ID. So every time a person selects a favorite through one of the lists, it's actually going to get saved right underneath the user ID and in the database itself. And then over here, I actually created the step-by-step. So and I ended up changing things around a little bit, and I ended up loving how it came out. So you guys will see that it is a little bit different than what we see through here. And then here is all of my relationships and my endpoints. So for my RESTful API that I actually created, these were the specific endpoints. So I did a user endpoint. The get is obviously going to show all of the users while the post creates. The favorite is sort of similar in the fact that the get also gets all the favorites, the post that creates the new favorites, and then the deletes by ID. Login is also a post. As for databases, I know I ran through that pretty quickly on the last slide, but yeah, I just went through and basically created the user and the favorites tab to connect via the user ID. I also set up a login and a way to store the favorites as well within the database. I wanted it to be a backend that everything was connected. So that way, as you were going through, you didn't have to log in every single time and pick a different drink. If I went to a bar and I found a drink that I liked, I wanted to make sure that they could remember that drink for the next time they were at the bar. I also used another API. It was called the Cocktail DB. It had several different endpoints in it, so I used 3 of those. I used a search by ID, a random cocktail, and a popular cocktail. I actually used a couple other ones that I didn't put in there just because the list would be a little bit too long. But there was ingredients and stuff like that I also had to organize, as well as liquors. Perfect. So this was just the end of this, but I can click back here. Awesome. So I will show you guys the application now. Okay, so this is actually what the main screen likes when you click into the app. So the first thing you're going to see is the home page. Now, you do have the option to click through the quiz if you would like without actually signing up. So you have that option if you're looking for something just quick. You don't want to worry about remembering your favorites or anything like that. Now, the sign up over here, it does work. We actually have validation set up, so it makes sure that the email is accurate. Your password is also encrypted, first name, last name, and then your date of birth. Already actually created one just to sort of skip us past that point, so I can go ahead and sign us in. Perfect. So once you sign in, you'll actually see up here that the My Favorites tab appears. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure was sort of standard within the profile. You shouldn't really see it unless you're logged in, because you shouldn't be able to see the My Favorites tab. So once you click into the Quiz Me, you're actually just going to select whatever liquor you would like. Eventually, later on, I'm going to actually add in specific liquors. So, Kettle One, Crown Royal. Eventually, I would like to make those options happen. But for now, I went ahead and stuck with just your standard vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whiskey. And then there's actually non-alcoholic drinks in here as well. So I'm just going to select vodka. And then these are a couple different options. They actually had, it was something like 1,000 different options that I could have selected. So I picked just a few of the standard ones that I thought were used the most. And you can actually select as many as you would like, and it'll match you to the best one. Now, once you put in whatever you are looking for, it's going to bring up all of the options for you. So honestly, I am definitely a visual person, so I wanted to make sure that the picture was very front and center. I don't think someone going through and having to read the ingredients would be very beneficial. So I wanted to make sure that the picture was very much front and center. And then let's just go ahead and pick aquamarine. So once you click into it, it's actually going to show you the ingredients, the ounces to make it, as well as how to make it. So that's really awesome. I know, being a bartender, if someone were to come up and give me one of these 10,000 drinks that's within this API, there's a good chance I might not know what it is. So this is very beneficial in that you can actually just show them exactly how to make it, and it's right there. Now, when you go back, I also set up a couple different options too. So if you're like, okay, I don't really feel like going through a quiz today, or I'm not really sure what I want, I set up two different options for you. So the first one is random cocktails. So with the random cocktails, it's basically going to give you 10 cocktails right out of the API, and there's no options around it. So it just picks 10 automatically, and every time you refresh the page, it's going to give you new cocktails. So as you can see right here, you're going to click into it, and then it's exactly the same. Now, what's really cool about the favorites tab is that you can actually save the favorites specifically. Now, since I refreshed the page, I will just need to re-log in. So let me go ahead and do that super fast. But once you go into the fruit flip flop, I can actually save this right here as a favorite. It's going to turn pink, and now I know that it's within my favorites. So if I go over to the My Favorites tab, boom, there's my fruit flip flop. And then actually, if you click into it in the favorites tab, it also re-brings up the instructions. So you don't have to go through the whole process of trying to find it. You can actually just go directly to it. The last part that I really set up for this project was I actually decided to go ahead and do popular cocktails. So obviously random sometimes will give you something really weird, like eggnog is probably not going to work all the time. That seems to be a seasonal drink. So I also gave you the option for popular. So mojito, old fashioned, Long Island, all of the most popular drinks will be in here, and they do update. I have seen them change since I've started using the API. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature as well. And the favorites and everything works exactly the same. So you log in, you can see all of the different ingredients. It tells them exactly how to make it, and you can also save it as a favorite. But yeah, besides that, that's basically my project. Once you log out, the My Favorites tab goes away, and you're right back to the main screen. And then I guess I can go ahead and click back to the last page. But my last thing I just really wanted to say was thank you to everybody. I know that it has been quite a trip. I am so appreciative for everyone that was there for me. JD, Lacey, Paolo, Alejandro. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I really can't thank you guys enough.
That was amazing. All of the three projects were so interesting and so different between them all. Congratulations to all of you. I don't know if anyone has any questions to any other projects. I don't know if Marcelo wants to say something. If you don't have to say anything. I was just wondering.
I've been saying a lot of stuff. So right now, it's all about jokes. Actually, I wanted to say a couple of things. First, well, of course, congratulations to all of you. The thing about Geek Talks that I was saying, or Pitch Days that I was saying before, is that it's impressive for me that I think that I know you, each one of you, from the very beginning. So pretty much I was maybe the first or the second person that you talk at for Geeks, and I know where you're coming from, and I know how, um, or not how, but the skills that you had before joining were not as the skills that you have now. And that's, of course, I mean, of course, that has to be like that because otherwise for you it wouldn't work. And I'm not only proud of you, but I'm also proud of JD and Lacey. You're a super team, and um, this is the first cohort that you have managed in for Geeks, and then you have done such an incredible job. And of course, Paolo. Paolo is more than a team member. He's my friend, and I'm well super happy to have you on board, buddy. Um, but to all of you that graduate today tonight, two things, right? First, the bootcamp is not done. I'm sorry, but it's not done. Um, and it's really important for you to understand that your career with us it hasn't been completed. And the reason why I'm sorry is because you are just one step closer, but there are more steps to go through. You didn't join for Geeks just to have the experience of learning to code. Of course, you want to reach something more. You want to do something more, and the only way that we know that we can make it happen for you to get a career, to make I don't know, to get a new job, or to maybe not. I mean, not all of you are getting are willing or want to get a new job or a new career. Maybe you want to improve in the things that you're doing. The only way that I know that can actually happen is for you to push forward. Um, and it's really on you right now because as for the last few weeks, it's been on us. Like we have to deliver the program, we have to teach you, we have to coach you, we have to mentor you, we have to help you. But if you can't show up and if you can't be there any longer, then it's going to be hard on us because we want to do it and we want to help. And I was talking to another student like a few hours ago, um, Assam, and he was like, "Yeah, buddy, you should have." Assam was saying, "Hey, you should have programs that take longer than 16 weeks." And I was like, yeah, we have it. I mean, the 16 weeks or 18 weeks that takes a part-time program is actually just a framework, because everything that actually matters happens afterwards. So if you want to keep getting more mentorship, if you want to finish your project, if you want to get a career, if you want to apply to jobs, if you want to have your profile, if you want to work on more projects, if you want to have your portfolio even stronger, that's when the added value for gigs actually enters. Um, and we are here for the rest of our lifetime at least. So it's a lifetime access to everyone at For Geeks. And I'm being serious. It sounds like a cliche, but it's actually really expensive, so it's not a cliche. So I ask you to take it seriously. So now what it begins is your transition to that new career. And for that, we're going to have the career week that will begin. I need to make sure with Alejandro because we have opposite ideas about it. Sometimes I tell him that we have to wait a few days for you to settle down, and sometimes he's like, yeah, let's start right away tomorrow night. Like it's Saturday, buddy. Nobody will actually enter that. So we're gonna coach you. We're gonna help you have a profile that is appealing to new recruiters, and we need you to be there. I've met the reason why we had Jorge and Joel before is because Miami is changing a lot. South Florida, the U.S. is changing. I mean, it's not only South Florida, but that actually means that we have plenty of opportunities in the state right now, and we have internships, we have full-time jobs, we have firm jobs, we have different things. So right now, it's pretty much up to you to get it. And you can squeeze the best out of us. and you can get the best out of it. Um, and I'm sure that you can get it for real. I've been seeing this happening for a while, and people actually do it, and people that were like driving a car or bartending or whatever, like there are different stories. And now they have like Paris is already working as a software developer, but people are actually switching and getting new jobs. So if you want to be there and if you want to get it, I kindly ask you to remain and keep the hard work that you have been showing so far. And don't hesitate to get in contact with us, because that's our job and that's the only thing that we care, that you get a new and a better career out of it. So thanks. Have a great night. Have a drink, and we'll see you next week.
Use my application to find your drink, guys.
Yeah, but I know what to drink. That's cheating, because that's. I'm actually drinking, by the way. I normally drink on Git.
I was gonna say I can send you the code, so it'll help you pick it out.
Water, but it doesn't
I'll
matter.
send you both.
Let's publish that. Let's publish it.
Perfect.
Guys, thank you so much. To me, it has been an honor and a pleasure sharing all of these weeks with you. And I still remember the first day of class that we had and what you guys have made, all this progress that you have made. I am extremely proud of the hard work that you have done. And as everybody has said today, this is just the beginning. You have to keep working hard and keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and that's it. So I've already talked to you about it, but please put those advices that you have heard tonight and also throughout the classes that I have given you. Just keep on it, and then never settle for what you have. Always try to get to the next level and always try to accomplish more and learn more as far as the tech goes. And congrats, you guys.
Congrats, everyone.
I'm sorry for JD. Because JD is starting a new cohort right away on Monday night.
I know.
And Lacey's joining a full time right away on Monday morning. So for you, I'm sorry, man. we have to keep fighting.
No, we'll love what we are doing. So
yeah, and I'm still gonna have my drink tonight also. So yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 days more.
Well, congratulations, everyone. Have a good night. Have a drink. Celebrate. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
By the way, your diploma, I didn't mention that. I'm sorry. Your diploma. We will deliver the digital certification by email next week. And if you wanna have the hard copy, just request it, and we can mail that to you. By the way, so, all right, bye. Love to everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Thank you, Lacey and JD. You guys are the best.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Paris. You're welcome.
Yeah, I miss you both.
I'm gonna blow you up on Slack. Let's get ready.
Okay.
Paolo knows. Ask Paolo.
Yeah, I know.
Good night, guys. Thank
Good
you.
night. Well done, guys. Everyone.
Good night, guys. Bye-bye.